Hi everyone, it's Emanuele from Italy, but you know me better as Evil Dead Italia. This evening we are going to talk about Evil Dead and the art, in particular about all the poster of Evil Dead. We have very cool guests this evening because we have one of the artists that realized a real poster of the Evil Dead, Graham Humphreys, that realized this specific poster, but we will talk with him about this very soon. And we have even Marzio Frei, that is a very cool collector, and moreover, he worked in the cinema, in the distribution of movies in Switzerland, and he's a very cool collector of original painting art. And he had the opportunity to talk with to meet know Renato Casaro and Enzo Sciotti. Both of them realized some art for the Evil Dead poster, Evil Dead franchise poster, and so he have a very cool. He have some very cool background stories. So, without any further ado, I'm going to present first of all Graham Humphrey. Here he is. Hello, Graham. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
So, this is not your first time here, so I would like to thank you for your presence here. It's very valuable in your background. Your histories are very cool to be listened to, and so oh my god. So what was the first time you were talking about the Evil Dead? If I'm not wrong, this poster is from the 1983, right?
82, I think, perhaps it was painted. But yes, the poster came first, the quad poster. In fact, actually, this is the actual painting, the original artwork. So that was commissioned first, and because the distributor made the decision to release the VHS simultaneously, which was quite an unusual thing at that point. Normally, you'd have a sort of a holdback on any VHS release of at least 2 years. Then it was actually more like 5 or 6 years, even. So it was a bit of a gamble to release the VHS simultaneously to the theatrical distribution. I think the thinking was that the film would do probably better as a home entertainment than a sort of cinema experience. Although I think actually the film did incredibly well at the cinema. So I think it was probably they could have easily held back the VHS. But anyway, the point of this being that nobody had really considered how the artwork would translate in a different format. So from the quad landscape format to VHS portrait format, which meant the poster couldn't be used in its current form. So literally, it was a very last minute decision to repaint the image in a format for the VHS. And literally, I think I had about a day and a half to do it, which meant that it was a very rushed piece of work, which I just don't think was of the same quality as the quad poster, cinema poster. But I think perhaps it's kind of crude, rough nature probably made it a bit more interesting on the shelves in the video shops and in the stores. And I think that's one of the reasons why it found its way onto the Video Nasty list here in the UK, a list of 80 odd titles which were banned outright in the UK. I mean, it was illegal to stock them and possess them. So the cover probably was very much part of the reason why it ended up on that list and became a sort of a sort of almost like a forbidden item. It was a couple of years before it was resubmitted and actually eventually passed again for home viewing.
Cool. This is a very cool uh, piece of history. And before we go ahead with the whole story of Foster, the poster was realized, I would like to introduce Marzio. Marzio, hello, Marzio. How are you?
Hello, Emanuele. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Oh, you have to note that during the pandemic, I have both interviewed with Marzio and Graham in separated moments because what interviews are in this book. This is my Italian essay about the Evil Dead, and there is a chapter dedicated to the art in the poster of Evil Dead, and so I had the opportunity to talk with both, but in separate and let's say private calls. But since that moment, I thought that could very interesting having you talk about posters because the experience you told me were so different that I think that it is very interesting to have both of you in a live like this one. So, Marzio, could you present a little bit yourself? I mean, we know Graham is a very famous artist, but maybe the audience don't know you so well. So maybe if you want to present yourself, just to make a brief introduction.
Sure. I started collecting movie posters as a young boy, and I always liked the painted movie posters much better than the photographic ones. And I never actually thought that behind a painted movie poster that there is an original painting. I, so I knew it's a painting, but I did not know about that there is an existing original out there until like 2012 when I started to work for my employee Ascot Elite, which is Switzerland's biggest independent distributor. I went down to the vault to see all the movie posters and everything, and then I noticed a package with paintings. It was like 15 or 20 paintings that I recognized from the poster. And when I looked at them, I saw, oh my God, this is actually hand painted material. And then I started to realize that those paintings are out there. And that was like the moment when I started to collect original movie art.
I suppose it's very complex to find the original artwork. I mean, you need to find the artist, get in touch with them.
Yeah,
How much is hard this part
yeah,
of your
it's
research?
the thing is, I was lucky to find something just by going downstairs, like one floor, and find them lying there. Okay, this is like a lucky punch. Um, the thing is, since I work in the movie business, I had opportunities to reach out to former, let's say, employee of bigger companies that released movies in the 80s and ask them about remaining art, if they still have something lying around. And I was lucky to find a lot of material through these special channels. The other possibility you go through the artists, which is usually a little bit more costly, or you buy them at auctions. So this is the third possibility. Every once in a while, something pops up on eBay, but this is not like the high-end stuff that we are looking for. So yes, original art is not like growing on trees. You really have to dig. And I always say that you are not finding a painting, the painting finds you. Because if you look for a particular painting, you're usually not finding it. It's always more a coincidence when you find something, you know. I don't know if
Yeah,
that makes sense. For
yeah, yeah,
example, going after the original Evil Dead by Renato Casaro, of course you can contact him, but if he doesn't have it, where do you want to find it? But maybe one day you meet somebody who has it in his collection, and then you can make a trade or you buy it from that collection. So it's always more like a coincidence to find a particular painting.
yeah, yeah. You have to know that I already contacted Renato Casaro, and he didn't have any more
Yeah,
that
you see,
the,
so
the
maybe one
original.
day it
No,
pops up, or it's destroyed. That's the other thing. So many paintings have been like destroyed when companies shut down. They cleared the vaults and they throw everything away. Yeah, I don't want to know how much paintings got lost in this process of getting rid of stuff.
Yeah. So we need to be happy that Graham still hold the original one.
Yes.
He's proud of his of his cool art. I mean, and we are happy that the original one is safe from this kind of destiny.
Exactly.
And so, Marzio, you say that you search for a lot of art, let's say, using your contacts. How many nationality? I mean, they are Italian. I mean, suppose English like Graham.
From my
How many?
collection, from my collection, you're saying?
No, in general, what kind of? I mean, what is the most common? There is a lot of variety, or substantially, it's mostly European artists, or
Well, it depends. When you go like through auction houses like Heritage, you find more maybe American art. If you go to Italian auctions, of course, you find more local paintings from Italian artists. And particularly, I'm always interested in Italian paintings the most because those paintings are, let's say, most of the time exaggerating. They are like promise you gold, but you get shit from the movie. You know what I mean? So I think I'm allowed to say that. I don't know. YouTube is okay with those words, I guess, right? No, but they had really an exaggeration also in the fumetti covers, in the comic covers. They were like super brutal, super sexy, and they dared much more than like other territories, like the US or maybe the UK. So this is what I particularly like about Italian art. It's really wild, you know.
Just talking about this, you remind me the fact that Renato Casaro. Have you ever seen, Graham, the Renato Casaro art for Army of Darkness? Because
I'm sure I have. I mean, I've seen most of the art through different places, but do you have a copy there?
yes, I'm going to show you because this poster of a pretty fun history. Just a moment, I'm searching for a very high quality image on Google because it's easier for me. Wait a moment.
It's that one with the red background, right? Where
Yes,
Ash
is,
is
is,
like
is
raising
that
his
one? Yeah, is that one area? Okay, I found it in a good quality, so I'm going to show you. Okay, can you see it? I'm going to show it larger for the people at home. Okay, so substantially the story is this one. When Renato got this commission from Dino De Laurentiis, he imagined he figured something like Conan, something dramatic. So in the end, he come out with this one, and in fact, it was not used because the initial idea was to use this for the American market, but in the end, for the American market, another one poster was used, the one with Ash. This one, I don't remember the name of the artist. Wait a moment. Of Darkness is the one that with which I never got in touch. Is the American artist. I don't remember. I never remember the name of this one. Just a moment. Oh, I'm not finding it in a good quality. Wait, I'm arriving. Not this one. This one. Okay. It's loading. Okay, this one. I don't remember the name of the artist of this one. However, for the American market, this one was used indeed, and then the Renato Casaro one was used for DVDs and maybe UK market, if I'm not wrong. And there was even a fun tweet by Bruce Campbell that thought something like that. Dino Laurentiis asked for something like Schwarzenegger, but it was not like Schwarzenegger. So in the end, the poster is pretty fun. So yes, the Italian posters are very can be very evocative, but not really close to the identity of the movie. While yours, Graham, I mean, if I don't say it wrong, you painted this one poster, this specific one, after you watched the movie, so
That's
it's
correct, yes.
fully inspired by the movie itself. Can you tell the story for people watching here?
Well, yeah. The obviously, I'm thinking more of the original quad poster rather than the VHS cover, which obviously has more detail in it. But no, it's true. I was invited along to watch the film beforehand, and really just to. I think the idea was I could decide if I wanted to take on the job or not. I mean, at the time, I had so little work anyway. I was, fairly fresh out of college, really. So there was no way I was going to turn down the work anyway. Plus, also, I love horror films. So, why would I not have wanted to have done it anyway? But so I sat and watched the film at the Scala Cinema, which is where Palace Pictures, the distributor, were actually based in offices above the cinema. So it was easy for them just to screen the film with no expense. So I literally I had the whole of the cinema to myself, quite a large cinema, and watched the fully uncut version as it was at that moment in time. It was cut for the cinema distribution and certainly for the VHS as well. I think there was a total of about 13 fairly significant cuts to the film. But yes, the idea was I would then just go home and think about it, call Palace Pictures back, and just agree to do the job. And I think it was a fairly swift process. I mean, Palace Pictures were a very new company and probably not really used to commissioning artwork was something they'd only done once before, and so it's kind of fairly new both to me and to them as well, the whole process. But it was very easy. I mean, I had the idea pretty instantly. I knew that I wanted to use the tape reels, and that would be where the title would sit. And I mean, the actors were not known people at all, so the likenesses didn't have to be 100% either. It was more the idea of the characters and what they would be doing. And I think I did a couple of sketches, and they said that's fine, and just went ahead and did the painting, and it was just all very, very easy. And at that time, I thought it was a fun thing to do. That the film was fun, and that it would do its business at the cinema. I came out on VHS, and that would be it. A year later, it'd just be forgotten. So, I was having fun with the poster. It's quite, it looks like a cartoon almost. And it was, so it was difficult to kind of imagine that it was going to have any longevity at all. So yeah, it was. I mean, it's still a surprise to this day that people know the poster and still make references to it. But my inspiration really was this idea that you're also looking through windows in a lot of the film as well. I mean, either the zombies are looking in, or the victims are looking out. So using the window as a framework, gave it a very sort of grounded, strong kind of composition. And then the other thing is that the style of it is very much in the technique I was using at the time, which I've since kind of moved away from for various reasons. But I brought a folio of work to Palace Pictures, and there were two particular pieces they really liked, and so I was kind of pretty much following in the same kind of style, which is again fairly sort of fun and sort of cartoony as well. But yeah, it was more of an exercise in color, and this idea of trying to create the look of a B-movie poster from perhaps the 1940s or 50s. So for me, it's always interesting that people refer to this as being very much a poster of the 1980s. But for me, it was always something which kind of harkens back to a previous era. But I love the color green. You wouldn't have guessed. And it was just really, it's just a good fun way just to experiment with the colors, and the absence of any natural color, really. I mean, that's a purple night sky and green faces. I mean, it's just not. It's all sort of very unnatural colors. And I was told at a later point that well, I was actually asked if I'd ever taken LSD, and I haven't. But somebody kind of thought that it was very much like an acid trip in many ways. But that wasn't really in my head at the time at all.
And you use very vibrant color. I don't know if this image I'm going to share again. I was sharing while you were talking, so it could be cool to have it on the side to when you're explaining the story. This is too vibrant respect to the original, or is just saturated by the PC's color? I mean,
that's fairly accurate. It's probably a bit more yellow, but I know that Palace Pictures very keen that the colors would be as accurate as possible, and we actually even went down to the print shop, which is down in the east of London, to watch the posters coming off the press, and so we had the chance to just make some very small color adjustments. I mean, to be quite honest, I wasn't that bothered because, in the idea of a B-movie poster, I always, imagine fairly poor printing anyway, though, stuff that's just churned out cheaply. So that was the aesthetic I was going for. So had it been printed badly, I would have been quite happy anyway, though, because, that, as I said, was the aesthetic for me.
That's great. While on the contrary, so you see the movie, you've seen the windows, and so you reported them on your painting. Substantially, you get what you have seen on the screen. While in Italy, that doesn't happen, right? Right, Marzio? I mean, can you tell some kind of back history about this? I mean, I talked with Renato Casaro. You told me about Enzo Sciotti, and their story. I mean, it seems like you talked before, because when Renato Casaro called me and he told me almost the same story you told me, it was very, very fun. So can you tell it even to the audience? I mean,
when I found out that Enzo is actually not watching the movies that he's painting, I was like, it was unbelievable. But then, after a while, when watching at the old artworks from the epoch, we can take an example. We all know Lucio Fulci, The Beyond, right? The painting with Catriona MacColl with the demon from the back with a knife. So
yes, I'm going to share it.
This poster is memorized in our memory, and we accept this image, even though this demon is not in the movie. Okay, it's not in the movie. There are zombies, but not a demon. But since it was painted in the past and we grew up with this image, we kind of accept it. But it comes to a moment when we, for example, when we commissioned Enzo to do, for example, the new Evil Dead artworks for Germany, that we might exactly talk about it a little bit later or now.
Mm-hmm. When you prefer.
The thing is, with Enzo, it's always difficult to tell an artist what he has to do, because an artist, usually, maybe Graham, you agree, you have free spirit, you want to do what you want, and you maybe hate when people are saying what you have to do. And I totally understand that. But artistic freedom is okay, or was okay in the 70s or 80s when the movie hadn't been known to the audience. When you had the poster first and then you went and see the movie. But now, these days, that those movies have become cult classics. We know everything. We know every detail. We know the color of the shirt that Bruce Campbell is wearing. We know what car he drove in the movie. So everything has to be accurate. So when it comes to paint new art for classic movies, then you cannot be like you have to stick with what's in the movie, or it won't be accepted. And I had this kind of fight with Enzo all the time because he started not for the Evil Dead movies, but we had other movies he painted, and he started to paint naked women. You saw the breasts and everything, and I say, Enzo, it's not an erotic movie, and there is no breasts in the movie. Stop. She has to wear something. It's not accurate, and he didn't. And I had to explain, and then after a while, he understood that when you paint a classic for people that know the movie, but because they saw it like 20 times in their life, you need to stick with what's in the movie. Okay. And this was a process for him to understand, because you have to know that Enzo stopped doing movie art in the early 90s. So did Renato Casaro. I think his Asterix and Obelix painting was one of the last paintings he did. And then he kind of stopped doing commercial jobs. And with Enzo, it was the same. He was just like painting for himself. He did like studies, nudes, repainted some of his old paintings. And through my connections with German distributors that had like cult labels that released old movies again, I had the idea to reactivate Enzo. And I told him, listen, we have a couple of rights. A friend of mine has a couple of rights. He wants to release the movie, and we would like to have the DVD artwork in the style of the 80s. What do you think? Shall we? Do we want to do something? And then it started that he made one painting after another for the German Nameless Media label. The ones that released the Evil Dead movies that you just showed a couple of minutes ago.
Yes, this one.
Yeah, and I think this meant the world for Enzo to be back in the business, even though we haven't talked. I mean, it wasn't like the big business like it was in the years of the VHS in the 80s, 70s, 90s. But for him, it was, I think he really enjoyed to be back again, and that his work is actually seen and released, and be with him and be there when new masterpieces have been made. For me, it was something super spectacular because I was there in the making. I saw how everything developed, and I also helped with the concept and everything. So this was pretty cool, actually, and I'm really proud that I had been a part of it.
Yeah, so well, I can relate. I mean, it was something great because you bring back, let's say, you participated to the gift that Enzo left us. I mean, with this specific arts, and even me, I proudly keep. You can see there behind of me there is a Humphrey painting, and on his left there is a bozzetto, a draft by Enzo Sciotti for this one draw, and so I'm very happy to own one. Is a very cool memory to have this this specific one.
Yeah, and I had a special deal with Enzo because I wanted not only to participate in the making. I'm also a collector, and collectors are hunters, and we need to. How shall I say? The collection has to grow. So we had a special deal together that the distributor paid for the job, Enzo got the money, the distributor got the high-res files, and I got the original painting. So this was perfect win-win-win situation for everybody involved.
Yes, it
So
was a very cool deal.
Absolutely cool deal. And we did this for like 15 paintings.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So, yeah.
And so, a question for you both. I mean, Graham realized a lot of stuff for the Evil Dead. I mean, not just the original posters, but even later even in the past, he realized a lot of let's say prints and stuff. I don't know if called them painting for limited prints. Let's say. What is your okay, let's call it relationship with the franchise? Are you a fan, or you live it more like a professional thing?
Yeah, I'm a fan, definitely. But yes, every job has to be treated as a professional piece of work. So you have to remove yourself sometimes from your own excitement, if you like, of the project. And the idea is to make sure the artwork communicates with the right audience. So you can't be too selfish about what you do. You have to consider other people, and of course the clients as well. There's expectation from the clients about what they would like to see. So you're kind of second guessing a lot of the time. But with the alternative versions, which I did many years later, those, as you point out, were private commissions for a small group of people. So we began with Evil Dead, just reimagining that particular poster, and then the group decided they'd like to see the trilogy. So we had the Evil Dead 2, and then Army of Darkness. Now I never worked on any artwork for Army of Darkness originally, so for me it's quite satisfying just to actually complete a trilogy of new paintings, and also because these are created for fans of the films. I knew what they
This
would
one,
want
right?
to see. Yeah, there you go. And you can see again, I've stuck with the tape to tape machine because it was such an important element in the film. And again, I played with those kind of really exaggerated colours as well. Still, I think that I'd intended to put more blood on Ash's face, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen. I think perhaps sometimes you work on something and you kind of realise actually you're at a complete stage. You actually achieved what you need to achieve with that painting. So working on anything further is just really kind of just indulgence, really. So I was very happy with this. It's retaining that very crude, very simple and aggressive style. But hopefully, I'm more satisfied with this piece than I am the original for various reasons. But yeah, it's really a question of identifying what are the most sort of evocative elements within the film, and then presenting them at their best, really, for the viewer. That's as much as you can do, really. And so I am actually answering a brief to an extent, but also there is, because it's a private commission, a little bit of personal license, if you like, because it's not commercial, a commercial item at all, in the same way the original Evil Dead poster was.
Yeah. You have to know that this all of the set of these prints, because there is this one, as you said, there is the Evil Dead 2, and at the end, as you said, the Army of Darkness one. And I think I own this one, the first one, the Evil Dead one, that is here, and I never noticed that in the painting there is this specific particular. I don't know if you see my mouse moving. Let's see the leaves with the with the light from the hell, let's say. And
I thought it was a very important moment in the film. I thought it was very visual.
yeah,
And
yeah,
also,
but
it's almost like you're creating a narrative as well, because you have the tape reels, and you have the cabin, which is where everything happens, and that's the exterior part, really, that foreground, the sort of evil coming out of the ground.
yes,
And then of course you have the main hero in the middle, and then all the things that happen are kind of surrounding him and enclosing around him. So it's trying to tell a story at the same time.
and while I was watching, when you were explaining, I found back a mail I exchanged with Josh Becker. Josh Becker was the first aid of Sam Raimi during or during the filming of the movie, and he told me how that effort was realized, and I have these few lines he wrote to me. This incredibly high-tech effort was achieved by digging a hole in the ground, jaggedly sawing a piece of plywood in half, putting a light with a red gel in the hole, filling the hole with fog, then quickly putting the plywood on top of the hole, covering it with leaves. Then two of us out of frame pulled the two halves of the plywood apart, hoping that enough fog remained to come floating out. Of course, as with everything Sam Raimi does, we ended up doing it 172 times or something like that outside in the freezing cold. So even this specific this specific part of a painting reminds some kind of epic stuff. Uh, and I would like to say a very important thing, because Graham in this day is releasing a book, and if I'm not wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong, the book even told about the original, exactly, Nightmare on one sheet. The book even talk about the story of the Evil Dead poster. So, fan of the Evil Dead, please buy this book. By Kokoro Press, right? Kokoro Press is correct the name?
That's correct. Yes, Carrero Press. Yeah.
Correro, not Kokoro. Okay, Correro Press.
That's
I'm
got
going to share.
the two paintings which Palace originally saw as being the potential style for the Evil Dead poster, and I've also included a bit of my own little bit of stained glass window making there, because I realised at a later point that the whole window theme did very much make it look like a stained glass window with those particular colours as well. So, it sort of reappraising the work, writing about it, a lot of different things I kind of realised I was thinking about when I was actually working on the poster, without, mostly subconscious stuff as well.
I'm going to share the link of. I shared the link of where you can pre-order the book in the comments section, but you can see the website of Corriero Press. There is the pre-order. You can find it even in Amazon, but it's going to be released soon. But Graham is bringing the book right in different location to be signed, right?
That's correct. Yeah. I mean, it is in the UK. It's been out about a week, maybe 2 weeks. So anybody who pre-ordered it here has received their copies, and I'll be doing an official signing at Forbidden Planet in Shaftesbury Avenue in the centre of London on the 7th of October in the afternoon. And then I've got a few other places I'll be going to. Weekend of the Dead Festival, George A. Romero themed event in Manchester. That's at the beginning of November, so I'll be able to sign there. And there's a fantastic place which is basically recreates a video store from the 1980s, and that's up in Allerton, which is up in the Midlands. So I'll be doing a signing session there as well, which is a special Halloween event, and an event called Dark Fest, which is in the East End of London, at the end of November. I'll be doing a signing session there as well.
That's great. It's a shame that I cannot reach there. because I'm going to have some travel in the next couple of months, and so I cannot arrange to be there for the signing. So I will need to find. I need to wait a little bit to have it available on Amazon.it, because so I don't pay the customs, because now with the Brexit, the customs is becoming mad from UK to Italy, and so I need to wait a little bit more to avoid that specific nightmare of customs. However, let's say I need your book in my collection, because as I discovered, there is even my the painting you did for me, and it's an honor to be there. On the I'm going to share the image, because it's a little bit little here, uh, but I'm going to show you the painting that Graham did for me back in the days, or almost it's more than a year, I suppose, more than 2 years probably. I don't remember, 2018 probably, if I'm not wrong. Even have some images during the making of the painting itself. Wait a moment, I'm searching it on my Instagram, so I can show you with a higher quality, if I can find it, obviously, because I'm very untidy. It's arriving. A moment. Never found the thing when you search for it. But okay, here it is. I found the painting, not the realization part, but for now it's fine. Here it is. I can see if I can zoom it. No, I cannot zoom it. Okay. However, is this one? Is from Ash vs Evil Dead, the TV series, and obviously it's really cool, and I love it. And even the actors and I mean shared it. Bruce Campbell shared it on his Twitter. Everyone loved it when it's come out, and I mean Graham did a great work with this one. And talking about of cool stuff, I would like to show you a little thing I found. I got this one is a Italian trailer, Evil Dead Italian trailer from 1983, and you will think, what is the relationship between posters and this one? But there is a relationship, because substantially the trailer itself show the Renato Casaro painting with an animation on it. Because I don't know if you have ever seen Graham, the Italian poster of Evil Dead. Evil Dead is called La Casa, that means the house, the house, and the C have the shape of a site, and the site, the C with the site form is an idea by Renato Casaro, and while the title is some kind of there is some kind of discussion about it. We still need to understand. There is a man that was the responsible for the distribution. He decided to call it La Casa, because then other movies were called that way, and maybe in a couple of lives, I don't know, I get in touch with this guy, and probably I will interview him, so we will know, because the movie was named in this way. I found the man, so I have to found everything about this story. However, I'm going to show you the trailer, because it's very fun, the animation. Just a moment, I'm finding it. Okay, I'm going to show you full screen. It's almost the whole movie here. I'm going to show you just the part, the most interesting part for us. Wait a moment, it's coming again at the end. Okay, here it is. As you can see, when the house coming out the screen, you can see even the stroke on the top left here. I don't know if you can see that. The top left. It's very peculiar, isn't it? I mean, you can see the strokes on the top left, if I cannot see correctly. I didn't see the signature, but I'm pretty sure if I go ahead, at a certain point, you will see before the video ends, you can see the frame of the film going up. Here it is. Here it is. I suppose that something here that could be the signature. Maybe this little white mark on the bottom, but I'm not sure it is the signature.
I don't think it's signed actually.
No,
I don't think so. I never saw it on the Manifesto Locandino. I never located a signature.
Yeah, because it's large.
Renato didn't sign everything. There are a couple of paintings left unsigned.
Here it is. However, this trailer is pretty cool because we have this animation of the sea. It's pretty awkward. The trailer itself, it's not dubbed because here in Italy we dub everything, and it is completely without dubbing. It's just scenes from the movie without any words, screen from the poster, and then other scenes. So it's pretty awkward, but it's a really nice piece, and it was fun seeing the poster because usually we used to see it in portrait, while here it's landscape. If you notice usually it is in portrait format, like this. Let's see if I found it. This way usually. Okay. This way. Oh, just a moment. Okay, here it is. Usually we can see in this way, never with the landscape. This way. Oops, sorry, I didn't. Okay. This way indeed, that instead of the one we see in the video, that this was something like. I'm taking a screenshot so you can see it again. This way, no. It is, here it is. Okay, something like this. It's arriving. Something like this. I never seen the part on the right. To be fair, I mean, never seen that because usually it is cut here.
Yeah.
Just a moment. Okay, here we are. So, in regard to this, and your memories about Enzo, and you have even experience talking with Renato Casaro. How they differ? I mean, how they are different in terms of arts, of approach.
Yeah. Well, from the technique, Renato Casaro paints more photorealistic, I would say. But it's also for me, it's very difficult to see if you have like an unsigned painting. Is it now Casaro? Is it now Sciotti? Even for me, it's not very easy. But you can say, as I said, Renato was more photorealistic. From the jobs they did, it was always that Renato had more the, let's say, more important movies. He had the Conans, he had the all the bigger films, and Enzo had more like the medium kind of, I would say, B movies, B2C. And something that is also very interesting, while I found out that Renato Casaro still owns around 3,000 paintings, when I met Enzo Sciotti, he had like 150. But his output was also, he claims to have painted like something around 3,000 paintings as well. The problem was that Renato Casaro, when he sent out the paintings to the production houses where they did the stamps, the poster, whatever, he always took care about getting the painting back. So he chased them, or he went with the painting there and took the painting back home. While Enzo Sciotti not really took care enough to make sure that the paintings are coming back. So most of the paintings remained there at those production houses. So this is something which is really sad, actually, because the stock of originals could be so much higher with the Sciotti family than it is now. And at the moment, there are like 50 or 60 paintings left. That the family keeps, or stuff that is there for sale. So this is a little bit the difference about the two of them, and yeah, I was actually closer to Enzo. I mean, I met Renato, like I went to his house like 3 or 4 times, and it was very friendly. But like with Enzo, it was a little bit more family. You know, he even said a couple of times, and this made me always very proud. He said, I'm like one of his other sons. And this really, this is something that means a lot to me, because he didn't see me as a fanboy or whatever, just a collector. Since I worked professionally in the movie business, he knew what I'm doing. So he always said I'm like his second son. This is something really cool.
Yeah, I fully agree. And you ever were in a convention, right? Back in the year, so
Yes,
2018 or 2019? I don't remember the
yeah,
year.
I don't have the exact dates. I would need to check the photos. But the thing is that since he started to paint cult movies like Evil Dead, I mean, you have to understand, Evil Dead in Germany was still considered a banned movie. So when Sony, in collaboration with Nameless Media, released the movie for the first time legally, because the movie was kind of unbanned, this was a big thing, actually. If you would release Evil Dead in the US, it's just another release. But now, first time, a legal uncut release of Evil Dead in Germany is something that is spectacular. And so people noticed about Enzo Sciotti because maybe they didn't recognize who painted the old VHS covers. They are familiar with the artwork, but they don't know, or they simply don't care who painted it. And for me, it was important to bring the man that created all those images, to bring them to a Comic-Con and to see how people react. And it was interesting. They first wanted to put him together with all the other artists that there was a so-called artist alley where all the artists have been. And I said, no, I want Enzo next to the actors. I want them be next to the stars. So it turned out that our first Comic-Con, we were sitting next to Danny Glover was there. We had David Hasselhoff, Pamela Anderson, and Enzo Sciotti. and it was really interesting to see that there were people lining up to get Enzo's signature, to get an autograph. I mean, it was not so crowded like it was with David Hasselhoff. And as you can see, he took also photo sessions,
Yes,
by autographs. I even have a video. It's too bad I didn't send it to you earlier, so we could watch it, where people are like standing in line to get this photo with him. And I wasn't sure if Enzo really enjoyed it, because he kept telling me always in Italian, quella gente sono tutti pazzi. So the crowd is crazy. Those people are all crazy, because he didn't feel like a star, you know? And he said that those people are crazy. He didn't understand the cult around his person. And I don't think that he kind of enjoyed it, but also he was a little bit embarrassed. So this was like, I don't know if this word exists in English, ambivalent.
Yeah.
Can see that, right? Yeah. So mixed feelings, you know? But at the end of the day, I think he kind of enjoyed the cult around his person. But while other artists in Italy are demanding that you call them maestro, he always said, when somebody approached him of the fans and said, ciao maestro, he said, no, Enzo, not maestro. So he was like down to earth, like a regular guy, like he didn't feel like a star at all. And this is something I really liked. He was just like your average guy from Italy who's just, by coincidence, painted some paintings that become cult afterwards.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Yeah, Enzo was really cool. I mean, I met just him one time, but it was a very
and
it was very cool meeting him. I mean,
it was. I mean, it was not only one convention. We went together to actually 3 conventions, and I think the more convention we visited, the more people came to get autographs. So he's like people started to notice who he is, what he did, and everything. And yeah, it was the day I received the message that he died. Was like it was a Sunday, I remember. I was with my children, with my 2 kids. We were at a playground having fun. And then I got home, and then I received a short message on my cell phone by the number of Enzo. But it was sent by Amedeo, who is his son. And he said that here is Amedeo, Enzo's son. He's sorry to say, but our father left us today. And I was like, what? It was like, I couldn't believe. Because Enzo was like I would say the world's most healthiest man. You need to understand that he was living close to the sea, to the ocean, to the il mare.
Yeah.
And he took every time, every day at noon, he went from his studio, took the bicycle, drove 1 hour with the bicycle to the ocean, took a swim for an hour, and went back with the bicycle to the studio. So, and he only eats stuff that is super healthy. So I thought he's going to be 120 years old, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So this is something that it was a shock. It came out of nothing.
Yeah, I remember that it was.
Yeah, and then a couple of months later, I told the family, especially to Amedeo, that if they need help with the legacy, with the paintings, they can always ask me, and I'm here to help. So they actually said, yes, we need help. So 3-4 months later, I flew down to Rome. He picked me up at the airport, explained me what happened, something that I don't want to share here, but I know the story, why he died and how. And then I helped him for 2 days to make a selection of paintings that are up for sale and stuff I recommended that should stay with the family because they have a cult status. For example, original Army of Darkness, original Evil Dead 2. I said, listen, don't sell, keep it. And they kept it.
Makes
and I'm still, and I worked also with Enzo on 2 books, on the 2 books he published.
Mm-hmm.
And we are trying to release a 3rd book, Amedeo and myself. But the problem is that the time, because Amedeo is actually running an advertising company. They do like big size advertising that you can put on cars, on buses.
Yeah.
And in fact, the same house, Enzo had his studio. So this was like a father and son thing. So the son took care of I would say, to the healthier business with the commercial, with advertising. Yeah. Enzo was like still in his chamber and painting stuff,
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah. So this was touching and moving, and it honestly, it's like my father would have died. I don't want to over exaggerate here, but after so many years being together and everything, I lost somebody really important, because painted movie poster is a passion for me. This is my main hobby, always was, always will be. And he gave me so much. I was able to see in the past what he did. I was able to be with him with the new stuff. Yeah, this is, I'm just sad and happy and proud, and it's a mixed feeling,
Yeah, I can understand. I mean, not just you, but even the whole Italian artist. Let's say all Italy lost something with Enzo.
Speaking about original art, if you allow, I want to share with you. I have 2 originals with me from the epoch.
Absolutely. I'm going to put
as we all know, La Casa, the first one, Evil Dead, was painted by Renato Casaro.
Okay, I'm going to put you in the front so you can share.
Yes, I hope that we will see it. So I was happy to get the original.
Yes, okay, it's fine.
This is the original sketch. It's not the final painting, but it's the final sketch before the painting. So this is the thing, or the sketch where Enzo went to the production company and got the okay to go for the final painting. And now comes something very amusing. Enzo, I don't know if paper was something rare in Italy, but Enzo always used the paper on the backside as well.
What was that?
I have no idea. It's a car. There is text. I cannot read it. Wait.
It's reminding me the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Yeah, but it's not. It's
It's
not.
not. It's not. So it's car. This one is cardboard, right? There
Say
is
again?
no canvas.
This is cardboard, yeah. And I think it's tempera colors. Yeah. I also am very proud that I was able to get the Army of Darkness final sketch.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope you guys can see it.
Yeah. There is something on the back of this one too, or
Of
no?
course,
Oh my God!
even
It's
in color. Are you doing this, Graham, as well with the backside, or do you have enough paper?
That's great.
Yeah. But this is only with the sketches. The original painting don't have that on the backside.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. So this is material from the epoch. If you want, I can share you the new stuff he did
Yes, I
for
will.
Germany.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is bigger stuff, so I have to see if we are able to.
To watch it, yes. Okay, this is one of the yes.
This is the original 2016
Mm-hmm.
artwork for Evil Dead.
Yeah, for the media book, right?
Uncut mediabook release, collaboration by Sony, who owns the world rights,
Mm-hmm.
together with Nameless Media.
Yes, it's really cool. Yeah.
Even with a little dedication.
Mm-hmm.
I donate this original painting to my friend Marzio.
Yes, Marzio. Yes, big friend Marzio. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that is a little bit, from a collector's point of view, the thing that I don't like is that these days with computers, he retouched the painting and did some changes on the computer. And as a collector, it's always important that the final painting is matching with the published poster or sleeve or whatever. But since he ran it through the computer and changed some things, if you compare the media book with the painting, you find some differences.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to do one day, if I should ever sell it, which of course is not going to happen, but if I have to do some explanations, because the people will say, but this is not original. This
Not
is
the
not
original.
then, but as a professional, we know this, that some things have been retouched.
Yeah.
I have also the painting of the remake, if you want to see it.
Yes. Wait for a moment, because I would like to ask something to Graham.
Sure.
Two things I would like to ask Graham. The first one was about convention. I met the first time I was in a convention in Germany, 2014. So you still going to convention? What is your experience there? I mean, do you have some kind of desk? I don't remember, because I forgot always. I almost forgot my first convention, so I have some vague memories of that. But you do a lot of convention, right?
Probably not that many really, but there are a couple that I do every year, because the arrangement is that I do a poster for the event, and then I get my table and hotel and everything. All the expenses are covered, and I sell prints. That's mostly what I'm doing there. But also, if people bring stuff they want signed, I'll do that as well. But but largely, I mean, I do it really for the feedback from people, because you know, when you're a freelance artist, you're working in isolation pretty much, and you know, although you have your relationship with the clients, you're very often not really getting any feedback from the eventual end customer at all, though. So conventions are a really good way for me to gauge where the strengths and the weaknesses in my work might lie, and so it's really informative for me. Also, you know, it's you know, I'm a horror fan myself as well, so you know, the events are you know, enjoyable for me as well, and I get a chance to, you know, look around as well and see what else is going on, and you know, meet some of the guests as well. But yeah, the two festivals I do every single year are the Sheffield Horror. It's a Sheffield Horror Con, and then the Weekend of the Dead, the Romero themed event I mentioned earlier on, and then this year at the Dark Fest, which is in the East End of London. This will be the first time I would have had a table there. Usually, I'm just there as, you know, a fan of horror who's there to enjoy, you know, meeting up with friends and watching films. But yeah, it's a learning experience for me, and you know, I find it very valuable to do, and you know, it's I mean, I think I went to the German one perhaps maybe 3 times, might have just been 2 times actually, which was great fun. But you know, I think perhaps my work wasn't quite as well known to most people at that point. So I don't know if it was of any benefit to me being there for the organisers at all. You know, there were some people I knew, well, who travelled from Britain, for instance, to Germany for the event, and so there were, you know, a few familiar faces. But you know, the events, as I say, they're useful for me in terms of information and feedback. But you know, it's not something that I regard as essential to do, really. I mean, the thing is, I'm just quite busy mostly, so you know, when you take a weekend or 4 days out of your schedule, it can impact on how you're coping with your deadlines.
Yeah, I understand. And Marzio told a very interesting thing about the way in which posters were printed. So the artist give the someone, I don't remember the printer, I don't know, the original painting, and so sometimes it happened the original painting stay there. What is your experience in this field? I mean, what is your experience in past with your posters? And nowadays with digital, I mean, I had when I wrote this book, one thing I did, it was scanning the Italian photobuste, the huge Italian lobby cards, and I scanned to put in the book itself, as you can see here. And the fun thing here is that I had to find a place in which I could scan a 50 for 70 centimeter. I mean, I had to pay a huge amount of money to scan this a huge quality. So my question is, how do you manage? Do you have a scanner at home? Do you have someone that help you with the scanning? Do you use some particular technique to digitalize your original art? I mean, it's pretty interesting. And do you do the let's say for the art you did for me, you put the title and some writing on it, and it was all digital because obviously the original drawing doesn't have this writing. So it's something you did with Photoshop. You ask help from anyone, or you have even some skills in Photoshop too.
So
Well,
you're asking Graham, right?
Yeah, I'm asking Graham. Yeah.
I wasn't too sure either, actually. But yeah, no, my original training was in graphic design. That's what I studied at art college. So I had some knowledge of print and also typography as well already. So all where I can, I do all my own design work, which is the title treatment and the credit blocks, everything else, and I scan my own work here on the desk. I have a fairly inexpensive A4 scanner, so it means that I have to usually make about 6 scans of the artwork and then patch it together in Photoshop, which it may seem kind of a bit ludicrous, but at the end of the day, the files are fine, and I've never had any problems with any final print at all. And the other thing was, I kind of mentioned earlier on that within my work, I'm always thinking of sort of old posters and sort of printing techniques which weren't always that great. So in a way, I worry that the scans might be too good, which seems insane to say, but I think everything can take on a little bit of degrading, but to the point that was being made earlier on about Marzio, when you talked about the bit of retouching, digital retouching. It's something that I did actually do a little bit of at some point. I think just for a period of about 2 years. It's something, I would usually it's because work had to be rushed because I didn't have much time. But now I never retouch stuff. It's always what you see in print is literally the artwork as it stands, and for the reason that you also described, that its value as a piece of artwork, a painting, is only as long as it's matching the final print. So I do respect what you said in that regard, and that's why I don't retouch anything anymore. Though if there are imperfections within a painting, they remain for the print as well, though. And if the temptation is, of course, there, but I resist it completely for the reasons you talked about.
And I remind something about you told me about the way in which the first Evil Dead poster were printed. It was a very archaic way of printing. You have to put the drawing something.
In the actual painting itself.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it was a technique I was using when I was at art college still, and I think originally what I wanted to do was recreate the look of laser holograms, and the quality of the light on the glass. There was this kind of interesting texture, and this very, very intense light quality to it as well. And the technique I was playing with was using oil pastel as a kind of base, so like scribble different colors onto the base and then paint over the top, and then scratch away with a scalpel just little marks. And that's something you can see on the Evil Dead, the first Evil Dead poster, all these kind of little scratches of bright color coming through. And the reason I stopped doing that was because the gouache that I use is water-based paint, and it would sometimes just lift off of the surface where the oil pastel was resisting. So although it was an interesting technique, it's something I'd stopped doing at that point. But on the actual artwork itself, I think it was probably the last X certificate horror film in the UK. I've asked a few people this, and they seem to think that's probably the case. So I've actually painted on the X for the X certificate, and a little bit of the X has kind of fallen away because of that reason. It's as I say, it's not a technique I use anymore, so everything remains pretty much as it is. The colours are exactly the same as they were, when they were painted. So the actual paint itself is pretty good, and I tend to use the best quality pigments as well, which means that they're less likely to fade over time. And nothing has faded over the 43 years that I've been working.
Yeah, I remember something about the machine in which you put the original painting, right? It's some kind of.
I might have mentioned drum scanners, perhaps, though.
Yes.
Yeah,
you roll the painting, right? It's
yeah.
it
The
ruins a
paint
little
gets
bit.
rolled around a drum, and it's scanned in that way. I mean, that's how a lot of scanning was done, and may still well be done now. I probably not. I don't know. I'm really not too sure what the techniques are. And as I say, I scan all my own stuff anyway. But yes, I used to use an illustration board, which was, obviously very heavyweight, a very thick card, and the printers would, if they were going to drum scan it rather than photograph it, they would actually have to peel off the top layer, and there was a way that was done, which it seems insane, and actually that's what people would do, and actually only once ever was anything damaged, and it was only very slightly in one corner, but you kind of did worry that the painted surface itself might kind of suffer. I mean, nothing ever did. I mean, I don't work with a lot of thickness in a paint at all, so it's actually, there isn't the weight of paint there to actually crack or get damaged at all. But yes, it was quite a mild kind of system. I mean, a lot of stuff was photographed at the time. Then they would work from the actual transparency. And you mentioned also that work sometimes would remain with the client and not get returned. I mean, I always used to ask for a return of the work, but it was at that point in the 1980s, quite often I wouldn't get the stuff back, even if I asked, and work just disappeared. Some clients would just claim they had the right to keep it, and I couldn't really argue at that point. Stuff has turned up, in the States randomly. It's been found in collections. There's probably stuff out there still, which it's might be in a drawer somewhere. Stuff did get destroyed. I know that as well. But of course, nowadays, it's since I've been scanning everything myself, I retain all the paintings, so it's just not an issue anymore.
That's great. Yeah, technology comes in handy for
It does.
this kind of issues. Nowadays, it's easier to get. I mean, it's easier even get pirated, right? I mean,
well, that's true. Yeah,
you are a victim of this kind of. I mean, if I'm not wrong, I mean, many people pirates.
I see a lot of T-shirts which are of my work, and they're not licensed T-shirts at all, and people will offer stuff on places like Redbubble, whatever it's called. People will offer printed posters of my work, and it's just, again, it's the stolen work, and it's not much you can do about it, really. You can do cease and desist, but they quite often make it quite difficult in terms of, you have to do a lot of form filling, and a lot of information you have to kind of give them about the proof that it's actually your work as well. And it's most people just don't bother. To be quite honest, I don't think people make much money out of that theft anyway, though.
Yeah. So you showed it at the beginning of the live, but you own the original Evil Dead poster. Can you? I'm going to put you in a larger screen. Can you show it again?
Of course, yeah. There you go.
That's really cool. This one suffered that.
You can see all that scratching that I was telling you about. There's all done with the scalpel.
Yeah.
And you can see where the bit of the X has fallen off as well.
So did this one suffer from the drum treatment or not?
No, I think this was. I think it was photographed, and then they reproduced the poster using the transparency, so it didn't get the drum treatment at all.
Just a moment. Oh, sorry. Okay, here we are again. And so talking about Evil Dead, you did practically poster for every version. Did you do something for the 2013, or you never get any commission for that?
No. My work was just what was done in the 1980s, basically. Apart from those screen printed posters, which were much later commissioned.
Yeah, you even did this one that I love a lot. Just a moment, I'm going to share it. Wait a moment. There is the complete one. Oh, okay, this one. This one was it was not a poster. It was a vinyl cover, and was this one commissioned by the vinyl producer, or did you get even in touch with
This
the
was, I think it was Mondo Records.
yes, Mondo. If I'm not wrong,
Death
it's
Bombs Records through Mondo. Yeah, so it was the soundtrack cover. So
yes,
you see the front panel on the right hand side and the back cover on the left, although it's created as one single painting. And there was a gatefold illustration as well. But again, I was trying to give it a sort of a narrative feel so that the cover shows you sort of the opener, I guess, the opening scenes, and then it goes through to all the sort of yeah,
this one,
that's right, yeah.
this one, yeah. Ah, sorry. Yeah, and it was yes, it's crazy. This one is very cool. It's very cool. I love it. I love it. And yeah, maybe Marcio, could you show talking about Evil Dead 2013? Can you
Sure.
show us your it's always from Nameless, right?
Yeah, the rights are coming from Sony, but Nameless Media has a good connection to Sony, so they sub-licensed just the special edition. So the regular edition was released by Sony in Germany.
Ah,
So let me
okay.
grab the painting real quick.
It's seeming huge. Wow, it's huge. Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool.
We wanted to have it real graphic.
Yeah, I love this one. Even if the 2013 is the one I love less from a certain point of view, but I love this. I love this art. Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. And Graham, talking about collecting, I mean, I can see behind you a lot of poster. Are you a collector too of this kind of stuff? I mean, except yours, obviously, you should have a lot of your stuff at home. But I don't know if, except the Evil Dead, you hang it up. But
It's not even on the wall, to be quite honest. It was only ever framed to go into an exhibition. But I don't have any of my work on the walls at all because I know what my stuff looks like. I don't want to see it on the wall. I do collect posters, old posters. I don't have a huge collection, but it's my big love was always Hammer films. So you can see behind me some various Hammer posters. There's an Australian one, an American one, and a Belgian one that you can see right behind me. So I do have. I mean, I love painted posters. I mean, that again, is something I grew up admiring, and really, well, I guess it was an ambition to be able to paint film posters. So I feel very privileged that I've been in that position to be able to do so. But yeah, I love looking at other artists' work and take great inspiration from it. That's really the only kind of thing I collect nowadays. But yeah, I don't have any original work from other people at all. I would worry that being a custodian of somebody else's work is almost like a big responsibility, and it's not one that I think I should have at all. I think I'd rather somebody who's you know, going to really appreciate and look after the work a lot better than I probably would be able to do myself. I don't literally have the space, to be honest. Anyway, though.
And the Hammer posters you have behind you, did you ever get inspired from those posters, from the style, from?
Yeah, I've got a wall of other Hammer posters here, and yeah, I see them every day, and absolutely, definitely get inspired by them. I mean, really, they can become benchmarks for me, really. And if I can create something which, is approximates the sort of level of excitement I get from seeing the posters, then the work is successful, I feel.
That's great. So I kept you for a long time here, more than an hour and a half, and so I would like just to thank you for all your stories, from all your backstories, from the sharing of your personal experience and your personal collection. In the case of Marzio, and I can see that the live was very appreciated because a lot of people watched it while it was airing, and I'm sure that someone will watch this one even after, because the video will stay on YouTube and Facebook until it's not getting cancelled, because it stayed there. And please, March and Brian, don't leave after I terminate the stream, because I'm going to thank you again. So thank you very much for being here. It was very appreciated. And for the one following this live, thank you for following. I have something in the work. I still not have any official date, but probably the next week we are going to have another live related in a certain way to art, to comics in particular. Probably we will have a comic artist and illustrator related to the world of Army of Darkness, but it's still not sure. We still have to schedule it, but it's pretty we are pretty close to the definition of the date. And so thank you very much for following, and have a nice evening. Goodbye. Bye.